and basically whatever the hell I want. Hello everybody, and welcome to Gene's Reviews from a regular dude here in my car. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed yet, please think about doing so. Make sure you tap that bell icon so you can be notified every single time I upload a new video. Also, give me a thumbs up if you don't mind. And share this with all your friends. And if you stick around till the end of the video, I have a joke at the end of every single video that I do. Today we're going to check one out from The Darkest Secret. This is 4 most disturbing YouTube channels that will fill you with extreme fear. So let's check it out.
Alan Tutorial, Adam Diddy, Catherine Carpy S.A. God Has Entered My Body.
I've seen that
Daisy
guy.
Brown. Do you
I
remember
saw a video
these channels?
about him. He was nuts.
They were part of those strange characters that appeared at the rise of YouTube. Disturbing channels loaded with content as bizarre as it is disturbing, whose link I leave in the description of this video in case you want to refresh your memory. However, with the passage of time, we have come across many more channels whose content is worthy of twisted and sinister minds. And today, if you have the guts, you will have the opportunity to watch. Because my name is Leonore Clay, and this is...
Well, I have the guts.
The Darkest
have the guts?
Secret. Today we present the darkest channels on YouTube. Number 4. The case that reaches out to us to go down this collection is extremely interesting because it allows us to see how a person's hobby can become the darkest part of their life. Joshua Brown was a man who not only lived in the world of technology, but was also completely immersed in the promise of a better future driven by technological innovations. He was an ardent supporter of electric vehicles, especially Tesla's pioneering developments. This fascination was not limited to the purchase of one of his vehicles, but extended to the creation of a channel on YouTube, where he shared with his audience the experiences he had using the autopilot of his Tesla Model S. Not only showed the wonders of the technology, but also its limitations and the room for improvement of these systems that at the time represented a great advance towards autonomous driving. One of the most popular videos he uploaded to his channel showed an impressive maneuver in which his Tesla's autopilot avoided an accident. For him, this was super important since it 100% exemplified the reason why autonomous cars could be the future of mobilization. In the video, you can see how his car avoided a side collision with a truck. In that video, Brown not only highlighted the effectiveness of the system, but also provided critical reflection on the aspects to improve. His channel, although small, began to gain traction among technology enthusiasts, generating interest from both Tesla's fans and self-driving car experts. What surprised his followers most was that, in a rare gesture in the world of content creators, Elon Musk himself, CEO of Tesla, shared the footage of Joshua's maneuver on his social networks, which generated greater exposure for the young man in his channel. This was not only a testament to the technology, but also to the impact that a single video could have in the digital world, reaching audiences that might not otherwise have been as interested in electronic vehicles or autonomous driving.
It can detect if something's on his right,
too,
so
a race towards digital fame and technological advancement ended tragically and prematurely. In May 2016, Joshua Brown became the first recorded fatality in an accident involving the use of Tesla Autopilot. On May 7th, while driving his Tesla Model S on a Florida highway, his vehicle collided with a truck, that was turning left at an intersection. What appeared to be a common accident revealed a series of system failures that would lead the industry to think deeply about the safety and reliability of autonomous systems. The fatality was due to a combination of factors. Tesla's autopilot system did not detect the truck's white trailer, which was partially hidden by the bright sky, a factor that blinded the vehicle's sensors, preventing the system from reacting properly. In addition, it was detected that Josh's hands were not on the handlebars, so he would not have reacted in time. According to later vehicle files, Josh apparently often committed this offense, riding autopilot without
I wouldn't do
holding the
that.
handlebars. The result was the tragic loss of the life of Joshua Brown, a man who, despite being an enthusiast supporter of technology, became the most painful proof of its limitations. The incident sparked a global debate about the safety of autonomous vehicles. On the one hand, many Tesla defenders argued that the accident was not the result of a system failure, but a misuse by Brown, who was relying too much on the system and not paying enough attention to the road. This was extrapolated from the car's computer data.
That's what I was saying.
As it indicated that many
times
the Harry Potter movie was being played, suggesting that Josh was driving with the movie running. It could be just to listen, but he could also be trusting the system and traveling without looking at the road. Critics said Tesla and other companies developing autonomous vehicles should implement improvements to the technology to prevent incidents like this from happening again in the future. Despite the tragedy, Joshua Brown's channel remained active on YouTube. Instead of disappearing with his death, it became a testament of his passion for technology and his confidence in the future of autonomous driving. Through his videos, Joshua not only showed the potentials of autonomous vehicles, but also their dangers. The channel remained a time capsule, a reminder of the risks that come with the early adoption of new technologies, without a full understanding of their limitations. This case also serves to remind us that the line between innovation and caution is extremely thin. Although the vision of an autonomous, accident-free future is attractive, the reality is that we are still far from a completely foolproof system. As the industry continues to advance, it is crucial that users remain aware of the risks that come with using emerging technologies. The Joshua Brown tragedy is a painful reminder that automation should never replace our responsibility as drivers. In memory of Brown, his YouTube channel remains active, and each video on it serves as a time capsule that offers a glimpse into the life and death of a man whose love of technology was paradoxically what cost him his life. His legacy will undoubtedly be an important part of the development of safer autonomous driving systems in the future.
Well, I wouldn't want it.
Number 3.
Like I said, I like being in control a little bit more myself.
Have you ever wondered, while browsing the internet, how many of those YouTube channels that you just skipped are run by a troubled person? Beyond that, by a murderer. YouTube is one of the greatest modern cradles for creativity. There, all people can develop their hobbies and get paid for it. Fantastic, right? Well, that doesn't mean that sometimes people with serious psychological problems can express their being in this place of reality.
I ran
Andrew
into
Blaze,
a few.
whose real name was Randy Stair, is one of those cases.
This one I think I remember.
On his YouTube channel, Randy shares seemingly harmless content at first, but over time his material began to reveal the depths of his inner torment and macabre intentions. Randy Stair was a young American with big dreams of becoming an entertainer. His main project was Ember's Ghost Squad, a fictional universe inspired by his obsession with Ember McLean, a character from the famous animated series.
Yeah, I do
Danny
remember
Phantom.
this one. This one
In this
sucks.
universe,
This one's sad.
Ember led a squad of ghosts, and Randy uploaded animations showing the adventures of these beings from beyond. In the early days of his channel, He seemed to be just a creative fan who dedicated his time to recreating his passion for animation and the Danny Phantom universe. However, as the months progressed, its content began to take an increasingly grim and disturbing tone. What began as a series of innocent and fun animations transformed into something much darker. Randy began incorporating hidden messages in his videos, some so cryptic that those watching realized something wasn't right. Through his posts and videos, Randy shared his growing obsession with death and his disconnection from reality. He felt increasingly isolated from society, convinced that the only way to achieve peace was to join his idol, Ember McLean, in the afterlife. His channel went from being a space dedicated to animation to a virtual diary of dark thoughts. In his videos, Randy spoke openly about his disdain for humanity, his growing hatred for the world, and his plans to carry out macabre acts. Many of his followers and people close to him began to notice that something wasn't right, but unfortunately,
too bad he
the
couldn't
warning
have got some
signs
help.
were ignored. The disturbing thing was that Randy made no effort to hide his intentions. In several of his videos, he spoke of what he called dark tapes, where he expressed his disdain for life and detailed his impending mental breakdown. These videos were not just expressions of anguish. They were a macabre preparation for what was to come. The deeper he sank into his darkness, the more explicit his intentions became. In his latest recordings, he began to make clear references to his desire to carry out a final act. On June 8, 2017, his fears came true. Randy carried out his macabre plan. The result of his plan was that 4 people died that night, including him. After this horrific and reprehensible act, Andrew Blaze's YouTube channel, which once seemed like a simple collection of animations, became a disturbing archive of Randy Stair's disturbing mind. Today, videos from his channel continue to circulate on the internet, and many people try to analyze what happened, looking for signs that could have prevented this tragedy. Some studies have attempted to unravel the reason why Randy made such a drastic decision, and how a combination of social isolation and lack of intervention could have led such a young person to commit such an atrocity. The case of Andrew Blaze is a tragic reminder of how red flags can be ignored in the digital age, where disturbing content can go unnoticed by those who should be paying attention.
You would think would notice.
For many, this case is a warning
and stuff like that.
about the need to be more alert to signs of violence and distress on social media. Friends, family, and supporters of people like Randy have a responsibility to listen and act on the symptoms of an emotional breakdown. Andrew Blaze's channel has become a time capsule, a window into the soul of someone who, as time passed, revealed a terrifying transformation. At first, he seemed like a young man with big dreams. In the end, he was a being disconnected from reality, lost in his own emotional chaos. His story, although tragic, also leaves a critical reflection on the impact of social media on mental health, and the importance
I think he ended up
of not
unaliving some
ignoring the warning
coworkers
signs.
and himself.
Number 2.
Yeah, she didn't go into it, but I think he did. Worked at a grocery store or something, and I think he unalived some of his coworkers and himself. But I'm not sure on that.
Harley
so don't
Dilly
quote me
was a
on it.
young man with a future full of possibilities. At 14 years old, his life was in full swing. Schools, his friends, social media, video games. Like many kids his age, he found a large part of his identity and fun on platforms like YouTube. On his channel, he shared videos of experiences with video games, particularly made in mobile, as well as other lighter content related to his daily life. His YouTube channel was his life. It was a simple, unpretentious channel that reflected the corners and dreams of an ordinary teenager who enjoyed sharing moments with his small community of followers. However, what seemed to be just an entertainment channel with a touch of joviality and fun over time began to show signs of something much darker. Harley, although still the same boy with his youthful energy, occasionally showed small cracks in his personality. In one of his videos titled "I'm Scared," Harley opened a window to his deepest fears, showing a vulnerability that surprised his followers. In that video, a young man apparently full of life spoke about the anxiety and fear that plagued him. And although his words were not entirely explicit, one could notice a certain discomfort and emotional suffering that did not correspond to the image he projected in his other videos. In the following months, Harley continued to upload videos in which, despite his positive attitude, it was evident that something inside him was not right. Some followers commented that his way of expressing himself had changed. His usual joy had been replaced by a subtle but constant melancholy. In his publications, from time to time, one could read comments that indicated a change in his behavior, in his way of seeing the world. Concern on the part of his followers grew, but as often happens in these cases, the worrying signs were overlooked. On January 20th, 2019, Harley Dilley left his house for the last time. That day, his mother insisted that he go to school, even though he felt bad. He said goodbye to his mother and left like any other day. But what no one knew at the time was that this would be the last time anyone would see him alive. Minutes passed. Minutes turned into hours. Harley's family at first thought he might have been staying at a friend's house, or that he had simply decided to go away for a while. However, as the days progressed, worry turned into despair. The police began searching for him tirelessly, but weeks passed without any trace of the young man. Finally, several months later, in January 2020,
you need to have other hobbies.
the case took a chilling turn.
Games all day.
The initial investigation revealed that Harley had attempted to enter the house through the chimney, possibly looking for shelter. Unfortunately, he got trapped and couldn't get out. The cause of his death was asphyxiation, and his story became one of the most shocking tragedies of recent years. The community was shocked by the tragedy. Harley, a young man full of potential and energy, had lost his life in such an absurd and uncontrollable way. The most distressing thing about all this was that on his YouTube channel, his followers could see how his life was falling apart. The small flashes of darkness in his videos were not enough for anyone to take the necessary action. Were there clear signs that something was wrong? Some claim that yes. His videos revealed emotional anguish that was never addressed, but as is often the case, the signs were ignored. The Harley Dilley tragedy leads us to reflect on the fragility of life and how easy it is to get lost in the eternal storm of our own thoughts. In this video, Harley shared with the world his daily life, fears, and most vulnerable side. But in the end, he was unable to find the help he needed. Today, his story remains a painful reminder of how sometimes the people who seem happiest are the ones who carry an invisible burden, an internal struggle that is not always evident to the naked eye. Harley left behind a legacy that, while sad, also serves as a testament to how important it is to be alert to signs of emotional distress, especially in a digital world where young people often seek refuge in social media.
Anyone.
Stories like Harley's urge us to question whether we are doing enough for those who need it most, to realize that behind a smile or a happy video, there may be an emotional storm that is going unnoticed. The Harley Dilley channel, which began as a space full of fun and video games, became a disturbing reminder of how depression and despair can consume someone without anyone noticing. His story underscores the importance of listening to those around us, being more aware of the small signs of distress, or not letting suffering drown in silence. Harley Dilley is no longer with us, but his legacy lives on.
What a horrible way to go.
Not just as a tragedy, but as a lesson in empathy and awareness. Number 1.
I don't know why he would do that. It's not the way I would.
When you
Pick
think
to
of
end it
YouTube,
all.
you probably imagine funny vlogs, cooking tutorials, cat videos, or the latest viral challenges. However, the platform has also been a space for some of the most bizarre and disturbing behavior. Among these, one of the most shocking cases involves a channel known as Leather Smoke Me, a name that seems harmless at first, but ended up being a stark reminder of the price some people are willing to pay for fame, attention, or simply to feed their own obsessions. The channel was known for extremely specific content. The channel's creator recorded videos of himself smoking, but not in the traditional way. No, Leather Smoke Me took this practice to whole new levels. His videos became more and more extreme and worrying. The first video he uploaded to YouTube, titled Gas Mask Smoking, showed the man wearing a gas mask while smoking a cigarette. This strange practice, which at first might seem like just curiosity or a joke, quickly became the signature of his channel. Over the years, the channel evolved from simply curiosity to an obsession with documenting tobacco use in the most extreme ways possible. The creator of the channel did not limit himself to controversial smoking. He experimented with all kinds of smoking devices and methods. In one of his most disturbing videos, he can be seen smoking cigars through his nose, which in itself is an extremely dangerous and unhealthy practice. But Leather Smoke Me didn't stop there. Over time, he was seen using devices designed to allow him to smoke up to 10 cigarettes at a time, a scene that is both disconcerting in its absurdity and worrying. But what was truly disturbing was not just the content of his videos, but the damage he was clearly causing to his own body. At first, he appeared in his recordings as a young, healthy, and energetic man.
People are
but as the
gonna
years went
watch
by
a channel
and cigarette
like that,
consumption
too.
increased,
Bizarre.
his appearance changed
I
drastically. In subsequent videos, his face became sunken,
Doesn't interest
his
me at
skin
all.
became pale, and his figure began to look more and more like that of a man much older than his actual age. In many of the latest videos, his body was already showing signs of collapsing, and it could be seen that Leather Smoke Me's health was rapidly deteriorating. In one of his most recent videos, he even wore a bandage on his neck, indicating that his health was already severely affected by his addiction. The channel reached its peak of notoriety in 2010 and 2011, but as time went on, it became increasingly evident that the man wasn't just looking for attention. He was documenting a process of self-destruction. In his last videos, there no longer seemed to be any fun or passion for what he was doing. It was as if the obsession with smoking had become a way of escape, a kind of dark ritual that, as it intensified, brought him closer and closer to the limit of what his body could bear. Finally, in just 2011, Leather Smoke Me posted his last video. In it, he smoked a cigarette while Alejandro by Lady Gaga played. A curious and somewhat surreal choice, given the nature of the video. At the end of the video, he tried to say something, but his voice was barely audible, as if he was already too weak to continue. After that video, the channel disappeared, and the man never appeared on the platform again. Shortly after the terrible news broke, the channel's creator had died due to oral cancer that he himself had reportedly diagnosed and accepted as a consequence of his tobacco addiction. In the weeks before his death, he had already mentioned on several occasions that his health was seriously affected, but despite this, he continued uploading videos. The last moments of his life,
was more than a physical
recorded
addiction.
on
That
public
was
video,
something
showed the physical
up
and
there.
emotional decline of someone who, for some reason, cannot stop in time. The channel ended up being much more than just a space to watch someone smoke. It became a grim testament of self-destruction through addiction. This channel, which began as a curiosity on the platform, ended up documenting the devastating impact of unsustainable behavior. Leather Smoke Me not only left a legacy of disturbing videos, but also a painful lesson about the dangers of tobacco and how an addiction can consume a person, even leading to death. Leather Smoke Me gave us a glimpse into the physical and emotional decline that often remains hidden behind an addiction. The videos on this channel were not just morbid curiosity, but a brutal reminder of what excessive tobacco use can do to the body. Today, the channel remains a shocking example of what happens when a person becomes obsessed with something as destructive as smoking, to the point that death becomes an inevitable consequence. His story leaves us with questions without clear answers, but also with a warning. Habits that seem harmless at first, like smoking, can transform into a death spiral if the warning signs are not taken into account. The Leather Smoke Me channel remains a time capsule, a digital archive of a life that slowly faded away, a testament to what can happen when a person cannot escape their own self-destruction. Did you know about any of these disturbing channels?
That's crazy. I think that last one was the most disturbing one out of all of them. They're all disturbing, but it wasn't like I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit more gruesome than that, but it was pretty interesting. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. Now, how about a joke? I used to work with two Vietnamese brothers. It was in a win-win situation.